Hey, welcome back to the Spark Faith podcast. I am Dr. Chris Sargent, and today we are going to talk about how you got leaky gut and leaky brain. Now, if you're wondering, how do I know if I have leaky gut or leaky brain? We're going to talk a little bit about that too, and more than likely, you have it. Just going to be straight up with you. More than likely, you have leaky gut and or leaky brain. So we'll go into that. For right now, if you could take a screenshot as you watch this and share it over to your social media, I would be so appreciative. I want to serve more people. I want more people to know about functional medicine. And today we are really getting into the root of things. So share, like, subscribe, do all the things, and keep watching. So here we are. How did you end up getting leaky gut? How do you know if you have leaky gut? How does this whole thing happen anyway? Well, I could go on. I taught physiology for a couple of years, and I could go on and on and on about the physiology, and you would probably be bored to death because this is not why you came here. What you would rather probably know, I'm guessing, and if it's you want more information about the physiology, be happy to dive into that with you. How about the top 10 scenarios that create leaky gut? How about that? So let's start with the one that you have the least, the two that you have the least amount of control over. One is the first two actually have to do with being born as a C-section baby, and two being formula fed versus breastfed. And so when we are birthed as a C-section child, you do not get the same bacteria as you would if you were birthed through the vaginal canal, because that baby goes through the mama's bits of bacteria, and it actually like seeds the baby. So that's the thing. Breastfed milk also has certain fats and certain nutrients that promote healthy gut organisms, and also getting it from the skin of your mama. So do not go blame your mom. This is not what this is about. This is just so that you have data about yourself, right? Like, okay, that happened. So how do I fix it, right? So the next place that you also probably don't have a lot of control when you were a kid and a teen anyway, you do now, but more than 5 doses of antibiotics as a child, like before your teen years, as a teen, and as an adult. So that would be 15 doses total or more, right? If you had five in each one of those time frames. Maybe you had acne as a kid, maybe you had a ton of ear infections, maybe you had strep throat a lot as a kid. And those are things that contribute to having a leaky gut and changing that gut flora balance along the way. So those two things. Now, as an adult, there's a lot of ways that you don't necessarily have to have antibiotics, but if you do, then there are ways to clean up your gut afterwards, during and afterwards, actually, so that you don't have to have that. And as a functional medicine doctor, that's like part of my job is to help you clean up after whatever mess we end up making, right? So the next thing, and the rest of these you have a lot more control over, right? Ultra processed foods and fast foods. And the it's not just the ultra processing, and it is, but it's the lack of nutrients, right? We're not feeding our good, healthy gut bugs when we're eating these ultra processed foods. There's just not the nutrition there, and ultra processed oils. And I did talk about the oil thing in our good fat, bad fat discussion a few podcasts ago. So you can go listen to that to understand a little bit more how all of these ultra processed oils really make a difference for you in a negative way, whereas olive oil or avocado, those kind of things, that's the makes it all healthy, right? The lack of veggies, and this is like that flip side, right? If you're eating all this ultra processed food, you're probably not eating veggies. But if you are trying to do a little bit of both, it may not be enough, right? So lack of vegetables and fruit and fiber. And fruit is that's a whole tricky food on its own, and we'll have to discuss that in another episode. However, not getting enough fiber in your diet changes the flora to be bad, like more bad flora instead of good flora. So, and it will, do not go out and take like 40 grams of fiber. You will hate me. Like this is something that you have to build in slowly, right? So what are a couple, we've got three or four more things here. Nsaids, and if you don't know what that is, like ibuprofen, naproxen, aspirin, those types of medications, over the counter pain meds that you take over time. This is not the, oh, I have a headache, I haven't had a headache for months, I take one, it's not a big deal. It's the one a day over time, two a day over time, four a day over time that creates damage, and not just in your intestines, but your kidneys and your liver as well. Environmental toxins, all the stuff that you breathe out there gets into your body. The stuff that's on the fruits and vegetables, it gets into your body. There's not a way around any of that. So even a newborn, when they take a sample of the mama's cord blood, right? The baby has a cord, right? When they take a sample out of that, unfortunately, it already has over 250 environmental toxins in it. So there's not a way to avoid them, but we don't need to go out and seek them. And if we're eating better, then our body can clean them out better. Mental and emotional stress. So let's talk about mental and emotional stress. I've talked a lot about how our gut and our brain work together, right? And so anytime that our cortisol levels rise, it can really start causing leaky gut for us. And so cortisol can be good because it helps to reduce inflammation in certain places, but it's bad when it's over time and your body is consistently being exposed to that. Also overtraining. I mean, if you're an athlete, if you're like a Woman kind of athlete, overtraining is a real thing. And we have to be able to balance our training, hardcore training, with yoga and swimming and some of these less taxing things in order to really keep our body in balance as well. And then number 10 is poor sleep. When we don't sleep, our body cannot rest and repair. If we aren't resting and repairing, our gut is also not resting and repairing and doing its job. And so sleeping, and we could talk for days on sleep. I did a whole posting series on sleep in January, so I'll have to follow up with a podcast on sleep. I just know that not going to bed, not getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep is absolutely one of the things that can create it's like a downside, not only in your mental health, but your physical health. And so what to do about that, right? Well, if you go back and listen to my last Wednesday podcast about the 6 steps to cultivating good, healthy gut, that's really a place that you can start, right? It's free. It's a podcast. There you go, right? You could keep doing what you're doing, expecting different results. We call that insanity. So let's know that you're above insanity, right? You can go ahead and do it alone, right? We'll put links. You can go back to my podcast. If you get my replay of the Cultivating a Mind for God, I go a little bit deeper into some of those things. So you can get that. You can get my book on Amazon called Simply Functional Medicine. It's got all of that stuff in there. And so all those links will be in the show notes below. Or, you could set up a free consultation with moi, and we could have a really good time for an hour on the phone, and you could get a personalized plan, and we can chat it up, and you don't have to be so overwhelmed, and it doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be all the things that you're overthinking that it might be. We're just going to get on the phone and chit chat just like this. So that link will also be in the show notes so that you can just jump on my schedule and let's chat. And let's put together like a very personalized plan of the very next steps that you need to take, which may be different than your neighbor needs to take, right? Or your best friend needs to take. So let's try that. Yeah, something different. So my name is Dr. Chris Sargent. I am so excited to serve more of you. And let me know, give me some feedback. I'd love it. I'm on Apple and Spotify and YouTube, and love you all. Bye-bye.